You know the vibes. Welcome back to the Hoop Genius podcast, brought to you by NBA 2K25. It's myself, Mooncey, alongside me as always, the one and only Mr. BJ Armstrong, my brother. How you doing on this freezing cold Tuesday morning here in the UK? How's it over there for you?
Only terrific, Mo.
I dream of the day where I could say that about my day.
You
I
can,
can't.
Mo.
I can't.
You,
Do you know what I
you,
heard? Do you know what I heard that I thought was really interesting? I heard this guy make a TikTok video and he says, whenever someone asks me, how's your day going? Do you know what I always say? I say, it's going great. It's impossible for me to have a bad day. And ever since he started saying that, he said he's never had a bad day just off saying that every morning when he goes to pick up his coffee. And I thought, you know what? Let me try that. But I don't drink coffee and I don't really go anywhere. I just sit here and watch basketball. So
well, that's not entirely true, Mo.
okay, sometimes the basketball's on in the background. It's bad. So sometimes it's a close fourth quarter. I just be looking from the side of my head. I'm like, hold on a
Yeah,
minute. Hold on a minute. I gotta catch this game.
yeah.
But no, 2025 around the corner. I need to lock in and focus. BJ, you ready for a new NBA conspiracy theory?
Please, Mo, share.
I was surfing the internet and I came across a post posted last night titled, "Did Jimmy Butler commit biological warfare against the Mavericks during the game on November 24th?" And I
Okay.
thought, this is absolutely insane. What the hell is this? Okay, so I'm going to tell you the story. Jimmy Butler was listed as questionable before the Heat win over the Mavs on November 24th due to an illness, but was cleared to play shortly before the game and played 38 minutes. Following this game, seven different Mavericks players have received illness designations on the injury report. The very next day versus the Hawks on November 25th, Quentin Grimes missed the game due to illness, while Derek Lively was ruled out for the second half with illness, and Kyrie was questionable for the game due to illness, but ultimately played. A few days later on November 27th, Daniel Gafford was ruled out with an illness. Najee Marshall missed the second half of the November 30th game versus the Jazz due to an upper respiratory illness, and has been out under the same illness designation ever since. If his own Twitter can be considered a source, he was already feeling under the weather on November 26th, and likely before then as well. Maxi Kleber missed the December 7th game versus Toronto for guess what? An illness, and has already been ruled out for Tuesday's NBA Cup game versus OKC for the same reason. Marshall is finally listed as questionable after missing 4.5 games, but PJ Washington has now been listed as questionable due to an illness as well. Jimmy Butler may have gotten sick from Joel Embiid during a game on the 18th of November, who was listed as questionable beforehand due to an illness. Butler missed all the games between then and the game versus the Mavs. Embiid could have gotten it from Andre Drummond, who was fighting an illness. As of least the 13th of November, whoever gave the NBA plague to Andre Drummond still eludes us.
Okay. Okay.
I found that fascinating. I felt like,
Okay.
so what? This is the new COVID, and Andre Drummond is patient zero now. Like,
Okay.
I just found it interesting. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
found it interesting. But
What are we? There was only one game last night. Is that why we
yeah,
have other things to discuss today?
there was only one game last night. Did you watch it?
Of course,
You know
of
what? I'm
course.
watching it, and I feel like Carl Towns is a different person now that he plays for the Knicks.
All right, explain. I'm listening.
I feel like Carl had a reputation for being a little bit soft in his career so far. And I feel like him being in New York has kind of toughened him up a little bit.
Well, he's from that area.
He's from New Jersey, though.
Okay. Okay. Again, he's from that area.
Shout out to Jersey, but
Yeah, shout
but
out
New
to
York's a little
Jersey, right?
different to Jersey.
Okay. Just don't tell that one. Don't tell that to someone from Jersey. But okay. All right, we'll
Hey,
go
if
with
you're
that.
from Jersey, represent Jersey. You know what I'm saying? Represent
Okay.
Jersey. But he seems to be playing with like a crazy level of confidence right now. Crazy level of confidence. He hit the huge shot at the end to win that game. But the most impressive player for me was OG. Just what he was doing defensively last night. Unbelievable.
I watched the game. It was a very close game all the way down to the end. Okay.
Hmm.
You know, I think we talked about this yesterday. We said, who we think is going to win this game, right? And I said, New York. However, this was a tied game was like a minute to go. All
And Scotty
right.
Barnes got injured, so he only played 22 minutes.
Yeah, I'm the Knicks won the game. However, that's what I was going to mention. I mean, Scotty Barnes was only able to play 22, 23 minutes. And when you look at at least by our expectations, you would expect the Knicks to win this handedly,
Mm.
but that wasn't the case. Now, they needed Karl Anthony Towns, every basket, every point that he scored, they needed every bit of it. And I'm just gonna keep saying this. I expect the Knicks to win during the regular season. However, another game last night, they had a couple guys, I believe, that played over 40 minutes in a regular season game. They only played like 7, 8 guys,
Yep.
8 guys max.
Yep. 3 guys off the bench.
I don't know how they're going to maintain this. I really don't. But it was a really great win in the regular season. It was great because, you need every game. And Toronto, these are the games you got to win. You got to get your business done early against the teams who shouldn't be, I don't think we have the same expectations for the Toronto Raptors that we have for the New York Knicks.
No.
But the Knicks won, give them credit. It was a really good game. I mean, I just started watching it and I was really fascinated. I mean, RJ Barrett was, I think he had like 30 something points. The Walter kid came off the bench, had, 19, 20 points or something.
Mm.
But it was a really good game.
Did you see another game that was going on last night, but not in the NBA? In the G League.
I did see that.
Do you see one Mr. Isaiah Collier putting up 36 points on 15 of 18 shooting, 5 of 6 from downtown, 5 assists and 3 rebounds in just 28 minutes?
I did. And it's so important as you're getting into the NBA is to maintain your conditioning. So I thought that was a great, opportunity for him to get extended minutes and work towards building of being able to play extended minutes at the next level. So it's all part of the process. When you come in the NBA, it's part of the development. Every young player that's coming to this league, unfortunately, has gone through this process. I don't care who you are. And you just keep working, right? You just keep putting in the work every day. And it was good. It's always good, Mo, to see the ball go through the hoop. I can tell you that.
Mm.
So it was fascinating, and I was really excited for him, and I was excited for the Jazz because I think they have a really good player, and these players come out so young now and come out so early, but I think he has a real chance to be a good player up here at the NBA, at the NBA level, I should say.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's also crazy, when you see guys who aren't getting that many minutes or the numbers in the NBA aren't jumping out at you, and then you see them in a G League, and it just shows you the difference in being an NBA player and a G League player. Do you know what I mean?
For sure, and that is, that is more one thing that these guys are so good. That's why I have so much respect for the game. I have so much respect for the players who play it. And it takes courage to get out there because these guys are so good. All of them are really, really good. And being around the game and being able to watch these guys practice and play, you begin to admire the elite players, because they're so much better than even the really, really good players
Mhm.
to some degree. But it's you got to respect the game and what these guys do in all professions. I respect the people when they master their craft and whatever it is you do.
Jalen Brunson said he had some criticism from people who had an issue with him doing his podcast during the season. He said if I
Jalen
listen,
Brunson said this. Jalen
yeah, he
Brunson
said
said
if I
this.
listened to everyone's opinion, every opinion someone had about what I did or what I didn't do, I would not be in the NBA. We talked about this with Paul George, but
Is he doing it this year? Is he doing the podcast?
yeah. Him
Oh,
and
he
him
is.
and
Okay.
Josh Hart have a podcast, right?
Okay.
It's called The Roommate Show.
Okay.
because I think they were roommates in college, and it's like their other friend from college as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, nice for Jalen Brunson. But tonight we've got the NBA Cup. We talked about it yesterday,
Okay.
and we kind of briefly went through the matchups. But I figured maybe we'll go in a little bit deeper this time into what's going on because the first one is Orlando at Milwaukee. No Paolo, no Franz, no Gary Harris, and Jonathan Isaac is a game time decision. For the Bucks, Giannis, Chris, and Marjon are game time decisions, and Chris Livingston is out. For some reason, this Orlando Magic team just won't go away, regardless of the injuries or anything that happens to them. And I think a large part of that is the leadership. And it's not often we talk about leadership with young players, but the leadership of Jalen Suggs, whether it be vocal leadership, but I think the biggest thing is leading by example. And we talked about this with Russell Westbrook on the Denver Nuggets, and I did a whole breakdown of it on my YouTube channel that you guys can go and watch. But when you have players out there who play with the required energy and effort, not the required energy and effort to be on the court, but to actually make all those little plays to win the game. And I'm talking about every single possession. That elevates the play of the entire team, the other four guys who are out there as well, the guys on the bench, so on and so forth. And you then get random. I think Goga Bitsadeh had a crazy game the other day where he put up like 21 or something. But the leadership of leading by example from Jalen Suggs, even as a young player in this league, has been a joy to watch. As someone, I like the Orlando Magic. I think they're a nice team. And I have a lot of fun whenever I watch them. But do you think they could pull off the upset against Milwaukee?
I do. I think any time you play, there's an opportunity for you to win. However, if Giannis, Middleton, and company plays, I think it's going to be a very difficult task. Okay. This Milwaukee Bucks teams looks as if they've turned the corner. I really like what I saw in Middleton's return versus your Celtics. I like how the Bucks are playing. They're playing with a renewed sense of energy and effort, and they seem to have found their pace for how they need to play to win games with this group. Bobby Portis and company, they figured out their rotations. Doc Rivers seems to have put his imprint on this team, and they seem now to be hitting their stride. Now, but let's get back to this kid, Jalen Suggs. Now,
But before you say that, I want to tell you this.
yes,
Jonathan Isaac texted the team group chat after Francis' injury and promoted a players only meeting prior to the walkthrough they had before their last game. He mentioned the meeting included Franz and Paolo, and the team looked to Jalen Suggs to lead them in this stretch.
Jalen Suggs is an interesting, player. He's an interesting person because of his background in American football. I mean, he could very easily have been an All-American football player.
Could he have made the
Eh,
NFL?
Yeah, he's that good of an athlete. I
Well,
mean,
like a
he's got the
quarterback,
size.
or is he like
Yes,
a?
quarterback.
I,
Yeah,
I don't know any other positions.
yeah,
I'm glad it was that one.
yeah. He
The
could have. He
the
That's the
only other
position he
one,
played.
the only other one I've heard of is tight end, which is a crazy name for a position, but
Yes, he could have been. He
a
could have
wide
been
receiver.
uh, an NFL
The NFL is a
player.
crazy sport. I don't know what you guys are
Yeah,
watching.
yeah. No, But this kid Jalen Sugg has leadership characteristics, and he does it every night. And he plays the game with a level of toughness, especially on the defensive end. I mean, he's developing now into an elite defensive player, and with his leadership. I mean, when you are a quarterback, you're used to leading. So, you know, give him credit for what he's done. I think when they get healthy, they have a real chance. It's not an accident that this team continues to compete. They've shown the ability to fight even when some of their key guys are out. They still have the ability to come out there and compete night in and night out. So that's a great quality to have. And I've said it. They are ahead of schedule, and they continue, Mo, even in spite of all of the injuries and things that are going on. They show up. So I expect them to show up tonight. It's going to be a tough game, but I think you just need a certain level of talent to win, especially in a game like this. And if everyone plays, I think the Milwaukee Bucks should win this game in advance in this what is it, the in-season tournament.
The Emirates NBA Cup,
Oh, there you go. There you go.
apparently.
That's funny.
Yeah, the Emirates NBA Cup continues, but the real matchup that I'm looking forward to, like that Orlando Milwaukee is cool, but Dallas OKC, which could potentially be a preview of a Western Conference final. Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
like Milwaukee Orlando is going to be like a first round, second round matchup, but Dallas OKC could be a conference final. This is what I'm really excited about. What I'm not excited about is the injury list. Are you ready?
Yes.
Let's start with the Mavericks. Dante Exum is out. Jaden Hardy is out. Maxi Kleber is out. Najee Marshall is a game time decision. And PJ Washington is a game time decision. Shout out to Jimmy Butler for making the entire squad ill. For the OKC Thunder, Usman Jeng is out. Alex Dukas is a game time decision. Adam Flagler is out. Chet Holmgren is out. Nikola Topic is out for the season, of course. And Jalen Williams is out. So we
Oh,
still got Luca.
Jalen.
No. There's Jalen Williams,
Okay.
Jalen, which is the one that
Okay.
you know, and then
Oh,
there's a Jalen Williams, which is
right.
Jaylin, who's the
Okay,
backup
gotcha.
big.
Yeah,
He's out.
okay. Okay.
We still got Shea. We still got Jalen Williams. Still got all those guys, and it should be an interesting matchup. Scott and I picked OKC to get it done. Did you pick Dallas or did you pick OKC for that?
I can't remember which one I picked, but I'm really I think I may have picked Dallas. I'm gonna just stick with I'm gonna pick Dallas in this one. If Luca and Kyrie play with Gafford and their other bigs, Lively and those guys, I think it's possible to win that game, even though it's on the road, right? They're playing
They're
in
in
OKC.
OKC. How much do you think that these matchups in the NBA Cup hold more weight than a regular season matchup? You know, like to give you that kind of mental edge when you see these teams in the playoffs. Did you ever get that? Like we've beaten these guys 3 times in the regular season, we'll go sweep them
In
in the playoffs.
speaking with the players, you know, off record, when I speak after the games, they've all said the following, that these games are played at a much higher intensity. So the way these games are played, the way they are marketed, I think the players understand, that they're playing this in-season tournament. I said, because, when you watch the games, I don't, I always try to approach it, but I never played in it. So that's why I was asking, you know, are you really putting more effort into these games? And he was like, it feels like it. They all say that. It feels like these games are played at a much higher, intensity. So I said, well, what do you think? What's the biggest, what's the biggest challenge or what's the big change? He said the coaches coach different in these games compared to the regular season. So I think there is a little bit more intensity. I think people regard these games with a little bit more, uh, you know, what's the word I want to look for? They regard these games with a little bit more energy, if you will. But in saying that, I try to approach every game with the same intensity that I could bring on any given night. But these guys seem to think that it feels different. The preparation is different. The intensity is different, and certainly the you have a you suddenly your bench shrinks. They don't play as many guys during these tournaments, and they're trying to play for a full 48 minutes because all the points and the margin of error and the margin of victory matters when you start adding everything up. So I think Adam Silver and company, that's a plus. Anytime you get guys to pay attention to the details through the course of a regular season. So from that standpoint, I think it's been a win for the NBA.
Do you wish you had got to play in the NBA Cup?
Um, you know,
Do you wish
you
that you
know,
could
no,
have an
no,
NBA Cup medal in your house?
no, there's certain things that every now and then I'll catch myself saying, I wish I could have tried that
Well, the
with
300
the
million max
NBA.
contracts. That would have been nice to
Yeah,
try.
there's certain things.
What else? What
But
else?
well, the one thing that I wish I could have tried when you're watching today's game is the brand of basketball.
Oh, you would have
Like,
loved it. 48% three-point shooter. You built for
yeah,
this modern NBA.
yeah. Well, I don't know if I'm built for this era, but I kind of like I want to have this cheat sheet, right? The cheat sheet is I know what I know from that era, but bring it to this era.
Okay.
That's what I because I don't if I grew up in this era, I wouldn't unless I did my research. Because it's not about the shooting that gets me. It's just the quality of shots.
Mm.
I am big on quality of shots, right? And what I mean by quality of shots is, Mo, I tried every night to shoot as many uncontested shots as I could. That to me is what makes a terrific shooter. That's why I'm so impressed with Steph Curry's shot making ability, is because he's shooting these shots and not just shooting them, he's making these shots under such heavy duress. It's not like we come into the game and like, you know, we don't know where Steph Curry's at. He's making these shots under such extreme amounts of duress. That to me is what makes separates him from everyone else. He's making these shots. Now, when you have the ability and so much emphasis on the offensive end, and you have the discipline, that's the key word, to shoot shots that are high quality shots in this era, I think there's an enormous opportunity to like score at a higher rate, right? I think you can score and the offense has a significant advantage when they drive to the basket.
Yeah.
Okay, right? You know what I mean? Like I was
Yeah.
like, wow, like you went to the basket in that era, there was hand checking, impeding progress, and all these things. That's a no call. In this era, that's not. So those two things have me fascinated with, God, the life would be really different if you could play with the discipline of taking quality shots and knowing that it's impossible for someone to impede you driving to the basket, right? I've never played Mo in an era where there wasn't a five guy in the middle of the rim. So the concept of driving all the way to the basket is like so foreign to me. It's
Mm.
like Mo, like you're playing, out there, and you could just drive to the basket. If I just got by my guy, that to
Yeah.
me, or Mo coming off a pick and the five guy is switching on me, like that just seems so foreign to me. It's like fascinating every time I watch that. And then the thing that really fascinates me is we just look the big guy off once they do make the switch.
Yeah.
That just like, okay, so this fadeaway step back three is a better shot than just dump it into this guy, as he posts. But that's another conversation. But I'm fascinated with some aspects, but for the most part, not for the most part, I'm just really happy to had an opportunity to
Well,
to play
let me
and
ask you
then watch the
this.
game.
Which team would you want to be on? If you woke up tomorrow and you were 21 years old again, and you could pick any team in the NBA to be
Right
part
now,
of
today,
right now with their current roster and everything, and they're going to give you the starting point guard
I
spot
if
on
I
any
could,
team
yeah, if I could, I would play with the Spurs right now.
because of Wemby.
Yeah, I would love to like see because I like experiencing things I've never seen before. I just like he really stirs my imagination of what you could do as a player. Like I'm fascinated. I know we talk about Wimby and I talk about Wimby a lot, but what fascinates me about Wimbyama is what you could do as a player playing alongside him, like defensively. Like you could just do so many
You could do
unusual
nothing and
things.
wait for him to clear up the mess in the
It-
paint.
yeah, like you like for instance, like you could like for instance, your half court defense could just be a trapping defense because of his ability to
Mm.
just recover. Like, imagine you playing defense and then all of
Oh,
a sudden you just start trapping because of him, because you can't get to the basket. You could just do so many
This
fascinating
is why
things
I
with
want the
him.
Spurs to be good so bad because I want to see the kind of things that they can do in the playoffs. Because during the regular season, you're not really going to pull out all these strategies and whatnot. But I want to see when it comes to the playoffs and you have 7 games to lock in on the series and exploit different areas of the game. That's what I want to. That's what I'm really looking forward to seeing.
Yeah, yeah. I just think he's just so fast. Like he really like I could just do so many things. Because defensively, when you have a phenomenal player on the defensive end, now that's a game changer because of the way the game is played today. So we know everyone is playing further away from the basket, correct?
Yeah.
3-point shooting. But with Wembanyama, you could play further away from the basket.
Mm.
So they should be the best defensive team on the perimeter by far. By far. Just because what are you gonna do? Drive to the basket and lay it in? You can't. Like
Yeah.
I just think there's just so many things that there's aspects of the game that you could just take away with him. You could create matchups with him. His skill set allows him to play the three position mode. His skill set should allow him to play all over the floor. Like without question, without question, you should be able to play, with 4 or 5 guys, 4 or 5 guys that are 6'10" and above. He's just that good. And I would love to just figure out what he's going to become because I don't know what he is, but I certainly have an imagination now to think like, oh wow, you could do this. You could do all time. I mean, Mo, if you just did backdoor cuts with him,
But what's
like,
interesting is like the San Antonio Spurs, they sit right in the middle of the pack in terms of opponent points in the paint. They are one of the worst teams at giving up second chance points because
mhm.
Wemby's going to come and alter a shot, maybe make someone miss, but then there's just no one else. You see the problem that we have here.
I think you got to play him with a big guy. I do.
Yeah.
I think you have to because then you establish the identity. Like, there's no reason for him to have to play the same position every night. Like, force every team to like, oh, where is he going to be tonight? It's kind of like you kind of have like this. I love it when you guys always say, man, he's a cheat code, right? Well,
Mhm.
you have this player who you can just move around every single night, and that to me is what makes him special.
Absolutely. I do hope Wemby listens to this show because I don't think any other show in the world gives him this much love.
Yeah.
We need to get the BJ Armstrong and Victor Wembanyama sit down conversation. We need
Yeah,
to make that happen.
no, well, you know what? You know when I want to sit down with him after about 6 or 7 years in the league.
You know what I want to sit down with him? In January when he comes to Paris for the NBA Paris game against the Pacers.
Oh yeah.
I
Speaking of Paris, have you been following this NBA Europe news?
I was reading it just literally seconds before we started recording this show,
Okay.
and it's very interesting. But I don't know if I can say publicly what I know, so I'm just not going to talk about it because I don't want to get sued. Do you see what I'm saying?
Oh,
Do
okay.
you see what
Well,
I'm saying?
yeah. Well, you may know something I don't know. I'm just reading,
But
I mean,
I don't
it's
know what you know, but I don't want to say it while the camera's on, in case that we're not supposed to be talking about it, and
no,
then
okay. Well,
and then the black SUVs pull up outside my house. You know what I'm
okay.
saying?
Well, well, Mo, you know the inside. I don't know the inside. I just know what I've read, and it looks fascinating to me. It looks like a fascinating venture of what he could be.
I'll
According
tell.
to the reports.
Yeah, I'll tell you what the reports say. The NBA and FIBA are in serious conversation about a new European league, FIBA Secretary General said. FIBA, the head of the international governing body of basketball, says the next month will show where we are headed in this matter with regards to a potential NBA-owned league in Europe. Andreas Zeglis says the Secretary General of FIBA has said that he and his staff will remain in serious conversation with NBA Commissioner Adam Silver and his office about starting a new league that could initially compete with EuroLeague and top pro leagues in individual countries. How do we become the front office of one of these teams? That's the question everyone wants to know.
Well, first, it's going to require billions of dollars. So I'm eliminated immediately. I don't know about you, but I'm eliminated.
I'm not even allowed in the
And
room.
yeah, but I'm just fascinated with this, the brand of basketball. Like, will it be
Okay,
European? Will
here's
it
what
be NBA? Will it be FIBA? Will it be like, I'm just interested in to the brand of basketball and what that's going to look like. Now, if the NBA is part of this.
okay, here's what I'm fascinated by. Okay. The Olympics and other FIBA related tournaments do well because it's a 40-minute game and it takes about an hour to watch, if you include half times and timeouts and court breaks. The NBA is a 48-minute game, which takes 3 hours to watch. And I don't know if European basketball fans, because a lot of the European basketball fans I speak to, they don't watch the NBA because they think that it's just unnecessary adverts, so on and so forth. So the first thing I'm interested in is because obviously I work in broadcasting, the runtime of the broadcast. What's the broadcast going to look like? How many commercials are they going to have? How many TV timeouts are they going to have? So on and so forth. That's the first thing that really fascinates me. The second thing, the question that I have is if the NBA's ratings are down across the board, why is the next step to go and make another league for people to watch? I don't know. I don't know how that works. Secondly, the third thing is I don't think people really understand what the EuroLeague is. Like the EuroLeague is not a league in and of itself. It's a cup competition, basically, because all the teams play in their domestic leagues, and then they also play in the EuroLeague, if that makes sense.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it's not like this is just a EuroLeague team. So I'm interested to see how this proceeds on the kind of day-to-day level. What will be really cool is the winner of this European League playing against the winner of the NBA, so they can finally call themselves world champions. That's probably what they have as the end goal. But I don't know. I don't know what to think about this without having the details publicly of what it's actually going to look like.
Well, I think the obvious, when when you follow the game like you and I do, and our listeners do, here's the obvious. Let's become the masters of the obvious. What is if you said right now, Mo, what is the road, or the best road to the NBA? You would say what? If you said, how do you get to the NBA? You would say, how,
Have a
what's
father who plays in the NBA and he can force his franchise into drafting you, even though you clearly don't belong in the NBA. Oh, wait, should I not have said that?
seriously, yeah, you
Should I
shouldn't
not
have.
have said
Yeah,
that?
yeah, said that. Yeah. What's the path to the NBA right now currently? Because we used to have a path that most players took,
High
and that
school,
path,
college,
college,
NBA,
yeah,
you're there. Now you have
you have
overtime elite.
so
Now you
elite.
have G League. Oh no, they don't have G League Ignite anymore. They
They
tried that
just
and it
got rid of
failed.
G League Ignite.
And
Then they had the
but
academies.
but the
Then
path to becoming the best player in the NBA is to be born outside of the US.
currently now, that's
Right,
over the last,
right this
yeah,
second in time.
5 or 6. Let's just say the
Which
five or
and
six
that will
years.
change again
Yes.
over time.
So
Okay,
what's the path to the NBA? That's the question.
having rich parents.
Okay.
Because
So
I saw this thing the other day about how much it costs for young people to play basketball now in the United States. Because now kids don't go and play pickup. They don't go to the park. They do their AAU travel circuits and they go to the best high schools around and they go so on and so forth. So the article was basically saying rich children are at a significantly greater advantage when it comes to actually even making it to the NBA. And then when you look at the projected future draft
well,
classes, that is quite evident.
here's what I'll say, that living here in America, exposure is what you're referring to. Doesn't mean you're the best player. It
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
means it just means the exposure here. And what do I mean by exposure? Now, social media matters. Okay. So all these things matter now, which never mattered before. So what the NBA, I think, has learned is, what is the path to produce? What is the environment that is necessary to produce the next generation of players? We currently now, Mo, we don't have that, right? You know, for the most part, these players are going to college for 1 year or less. Then you have all of these other, avenues that you mentioned. Well, do you go to these club teams in Europe? Do you go to the academies that have popped up all around the world? Do you go to Australia or New Zealand or wherever and you start playing? So currently now, Mo, what is the best avenue or what is the best option to come to the NBA? Now, if you said today the best young players in the NBA are all international players, okay? Jokic, Luka Doncic, Giannis, Shea
Shea is
Alexander is
Canadian.
Canadian, and then now we have Wembanyama. Okay, so if you just said today what's going on, what's the best option out of all these options? Well, they've produced the players that are, you look at the MVPs. I mean, with the last 5 or 6 MVPs have been
Yeah.
all international players. Joel Embiid got an
Mhm.
MVP in there as well. So, in
Oh,
saying
he's
that,
American now. He's got a gold medal. He's American now.
yeah. So what we know, Mo, is we have to do something that's going to continue to feed the system. And right now we don't have that.
Mm.
We're kind of in a phase now where we don't know because college basketball was the traditional way that most great players, right? Kareem came out of college, Will Chamberlain came out of college,
Bird and
Michael
Magic.
Jordan, Larry Bird, Magic, Tim
And
Duncan,
also,
Shaquille O'Neal.
the other thing people forget about is that Magic and Bird rivalry in college did so much for the marketing of the NBA when they both got to the Lakers and the Celtics because the rivalry
Well,
was already there and they joined another rivalry.
yes.
I think I need to check it, but the Magic versus Bird NCAA final may be the most watched basketball game on in America on TV
I
ever.
still think it is. I think it is. I
I don't
still
think any
think that
NBA game in
is.
America has passed that on television viewing
Yeah,
views.
it is. And then all of a sudden we had this little blip where high school players, the late Kobe Bryant and Kevin
KG,
Garnett, and
Amir
then
Johnson,
yeah, we had LeBron James and Jermaine O'Neal. So there's been,
Dwight.
Dwight Howard. So it's always, then there was the high school players, kind of like what you see right now with the international players. It was like, they came in, right? And these guys played at an elite level. Right now, Mo, we're kind of in this matrix, if you will, where no one knows right now.
Mm.
So everyone wants to blame, but I'm just observing the entire system because you could see it coming for years. I mean, this isn't something that's new. You could see it coming, right? If you watch the game like you and I, you see these things come, you go, "Ooh, this is not going to end well if we don't do something about it." And everyone's like, "Oh, BJ, you're the old guy on the lawn." No, you could see this one
No, we've been
coming.
talking about this for as long as I've known you. Like,
Yeah, yeah, you could see this coming. And now that it's here, it's kind of like, everyone's
okay.
like, "Well, what are we going to do? Well, we got to do something." So I think the NBA, in saying this, the NBA is trying to figure out what it needs to do moving forward if they're going to continue being considered the best league in the world. They got to figure out a way to get a path to develop this talent so that it can play at an elite level.
So they're going to start this league in Europe, and all the European players are going to be homesick and request trades back to back. So Jokic is going to request a trade back to Serbia so he can chill with his horses when it's not game day. That would be pretty funny.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, Mo. Here's the thing. Here's the thing what makes sports in America. Okay. And again, I'm not expecting everyone to understand this because you gotta see the whole
Mm.
globe, right? You know what I mean? Like, and that's where I'm very fortunate, right? I've seen the games in Asia. I've seen the games in Europe. I've seen the games in America. I've seen the games in, you know, South America and, and other places of the world. You said it at the start of this conversation. the broadcasting of the game is what makes our game unique
Yes.
because there's a business component to it.
Yeah.
Okay. Our game is different because, okay, there's 8 minutes, but we take that 8 minutes and we stretch it out to like another hour and a
Hour.
half, hour and a half
You see these dark
because of the
circles around my
business.
eyes.
Yeah.
ESPN, you have
Okay.
blood on your hands.
So now what I'm interested in is the American influence and the business
The
on the business of sports.
commercialization. The
That to me,
commercialization of basketball.
the game mode is the game. That's the
Yeah.
easy part, right? If you could say, if I was a kid from America and all of a sudden now I could play in Milan versus Luka Doncic at 18 or 19, man, sign me up.
Mm.
But the commercialization of this now is what I'm interested in because it's a new way of viewing the game. I mean, Mo, it's like when I was just in Europe, a couple weeks ago watching
Awesome.
games.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was in Barcelona and Bo, you go to the game's over in an hour and a half, boom, you're done.
Yep.
But when you go to a Laker game or a Clipper game, I mean, it's
Oh
like,
no, that's your evening.
yeah, it's like, bro, it's like a 4 hour, 5 hour deal just to go to
Hmm.
a game. So that's what I'm interested is to see the production. Because let me assure everyone here, and you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. Mo, there's an NBA experience to every game that you go to.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. The Celtics, the Lakers, OKC, Chicago Bulls, they all have their individual thing going on, but it's similar in every way. It's just in a different place. When you go to the Knicks, there's the introduction, and then there's the scoreboard, and then there's the cheerleaders, and then there's the music. And then I'm interested. I'll say this. When you go to a game in Europe, there's some downtime that you have to yourself where there's a timeout and maybe nothing's going on in the arena for a little bit. You go to an NBA game, Mo, there's something going on every second that you're in your seat. You're
Yeah.
being sold something, there's a scoreboard, there's an interaction, there's something going on. There's music being piped in, there's halftime show, this time show. There's just always something going on.
It's
So,
like so when they had the World Cup the Olympic warm up games here in London, Team USA came to play a couple games.
mhm.
I was with a few different people, and they've only ever seen NBA games, and it was weird for them that there was no music being played during the game
Yeah, no.
because everyone's asking me, Mo, where's the? Because obviously, like I brought people to the game. Do you know what I mean? I'm like,
Right,
come and check this
right.
out. Steph Curry's here, LeBron's here. They're like, Mo, why is it so quiet? Like, why is there no music? And I'm like, yeah, that's only in America. You get the music during the game. Like,
So that's what I'm interested in is to see how the rest of the world starts viewing the game. Will that change? Will all of a sudden now, Mo, you ever catch yourself at an NBA game, you just start singing along with the music. You're like, oh, I like that song. And but in Europe, you don't hear that. You don't
yeah,
see
because
that.
they have chants for their team. They got flares going off. They're all holding up the
Exactly.
scarves. They're actually fans of the
The
team.
game
They're
mode
not
that
fans
is
of one player on the team who happened to be low managing that game. So now they're just singing along to songs. They are dedicated fans of the team. And that's the
and that
culture difference that I think America no longer has is most young people now, they're LeBron fans, they're Steph fans, they're KD fans, they're Giannis fans.
right.
I don't meet many people anymore. And I say to everyone I meet, right, who's your favorite team? Everyone comes to me to talk about basketball. I say, who's your favorite team? They go, I don't really have a team. I just like LeBron. I don't really have a team. I just like Luca. I don't have a team. I just like Kyrie. So by default, I'm supporting the Mavericks. And I think that you lose a lot of culture if you're not supporting a team and you're just supporting a
And Mo,
player.
you made a great point because that is one of the best things about to me, I'm a big fan of the European game because bro, they start these chants and I always participate. And I never participate in anything other than when I go to Europe. I love going to the Final Four. I love when you go to, FC Barcelona
I
or
know BJ was having a great time at FC Barcelona because I was getting messages saying, "Yo, your boy is here." People were
no,
sending me videos and
it's
pictures.
great because the fans start participating and they go into their chants and they start whistling and doing their things
Mm.
like all of a sudden there's a timeout and then they just start a chant
Bro,
and then
I find it funny, right? Because like people are like, oh, OKC is a tough place to play. The fans are so loud. And I'm
no,
like, my brother, I was actually in Barcelona in when was this? It must have been like September or October, start of the season. It's not even like the final of anything. It's like a start of the
right.
season. The game was delayed by an hour because the opposing fans, who had like a tiny section in the arena, had brought so many flares in that you couldn't see the court because it was just smoke all over the place.
See,
I
I
think it
love
was
it.
against a Serbian team, and they've all brought drums. They're all making noise. They're letting off flares, and the game had to be delayed by an hour to clear this.
Oh,
And they've just opened like the fire escape doors, and they're trying to waft the smoke out of the building. And
yeah.
but I'm like, how the hell are you telling me that Oklahoma, respectfully to the OKC fans because they're great,
I
but
know,
that's
I
not an
know.
intimidating atmosphere. You know, and people are like, especially when Luka Doncic was coming to the league and getting drafted, they're like, oh, is he going to be able to make it? I'm looking at it like, brother, this guy was 14 playing in the most hostile environments in the world,
Yeah.
and you think he's going to be scared of Madison Square Garden?
Yeah.
You think Spike Lee is intimidating him on the sidelines? Get out of here.
Mo, we're in America. Let us
No,
have
no,
our
no, I'm
little
not mad at it. You know, like OKC, Boston, New York, you have great fans. You have great
right,
fans, right? It's just different.
right.
It's just very different.
This is for sure. But it's interesting. I'm just interested to see that part of it. Like, will the rest of the world accept the business model that works here in America?
No,
That's that to me,
no,
that's the
no. Because do you
basketball
know
is the
why?
easy
Do you know
part.
why? Right? Because you
Go
guys
ahead.
have NFL, which is also
Hmm.
commercialized to a ridiculous level. Because I tried to watch NFL and it's just break after break after break. Here we have football, which is 45 minutes of uninterrupted play, one small break, and then 45 minutes of uninterrupted play again. And that's the game. That's it. Sports fans want to watch the sports and then continue their day. You know what I mean? They're not trying to watch the sports, watch an advert, watch sports, watch an advert, watch sports, watch an advert, watch sports, watch an advert. That's not how it happens over here.
Mo, follow the money.
I'm
Hey,
trying.
hey, Mo. That's the one thing that I have to give to the
Oh, the NBA does
business
a
of
great job.
yes.
The NBA
The
does a great job.
the
I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying
no,
culturally for the
yes,
fans.
coach. Yes.
This is
That
not
to
from a business
me,
perspective. This is from a personal
that
human
to me,
perspective.
that to me will be the most fascinating aspect of this merger. Will the rest of the world accept the business aspect of sports and the broadcasting? Because Mo, that's where the money is. That's where the business is. And if you could combine the two somehow and give it a different look, I think the whole thing in Europe has an incredible opportunity to really take on something new because you have so many other places in the world, right? You got the continent of Africa. You got all these other places that could give their version to it and see what it looks like. So I'm fascinated by it. I like a challenge, so I'm looking forward to it.
Well, that's another episode of the Hoop Genius podcast. So make sure you guys subscribe, YouTube, Spotify, Apple. And you might see us at an NBA Europe League game pretty soon.
It's not might, it's happening. Mo,
I,
this is
I
gonna
hope so.
happen.
I hope my
It's
phone rings. I hope my phone
it,
rings.
well, you know what it's gonna ring. Well, you know why it's gonna ring. Your phone's gonna ring. Is because who else knows the entire globe like you? Who else could? Who else? That's one thing I'm going to say with Mo. Mo literally doesn't sleep. The guy doesn't sleep. Now, some of that is by choice. But I can tell
Chill,
you
chill,
this.
chill.
But I can say this. The man knows his stuff. You know the game. There's no one else that would know all the players. Mo, you're going to know all the players. And no one else is more qualified to talk about the globe, the global game. It's truly a global game now. No one is more qualified than Mo to
I
say
appreciate that.
who knows the NBA and Europe better than this guy. Like I don't know anyone else that knows both sides of the pond like you.
I
So
appreciate that. No,
they're gonna
a lot of
call,
great. There's a lot of great broadcasters over here who do European basketball, EuroLeague, but
but they
respectfully
don't
to
know the
them, they
NBA
don't know
game.
the NBA
The
like
NBA
me.
game,
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
But then there's some people who know the NBA, but then they don't know the European game. And Mo, hey, hey, Mo knows the game. Mo knows the game.
You know what? You know what? You ain't lying. 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 You know, like. So
you
someone told
know.
me the other day. Someone asked me the other day. She asked me, "What's your podcast called? I want to have a listen." I said, "No, no, 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 chill. You can chill." I said, "You can chill." Podcast
That's
for the
pretty
basketball
funny.
fans. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah,
anyway,
well,
appreciate you, B. Appreciate the
yeah,
love, man. That means a
no,
lot. That
no,
means a lot.
no, no.
That does mean a lot because
It's the
every year
truth.
I do come to BJ like a year or two in advance. Not the year that they're going to be drafted, but like a year or two in advance. I'm like, yo, I remember like first started talking to BJ. I'm like, yo, BJ, there's this kid in Turkey who I think is going to be really good. This Şengün kid.
You're right.
Fast forward 4 years. Now look, I call BJ. Yeah, everyone's talking about Wembanyama, but this kid Bilal, I think he could be a really good defender in the NBA. In
Yeah,
fact, Wemby, when he was 14, I was calling people and talking about Wemby.
yeah.
So
No,
I keep an eye. I keep an eye. I try to keep an eye
no,
out
seriously,
on
you
what's
know
going
it,
on.
Mo. You
So
know it. You know it. It's inevitable. It's going to happen, and they're going to need Mo. That's for sure. I mean, this is going to happen probably next year. I would imagine they're going to announce this. Again, I don't know anything. I would imagine they're probably going to announce this during the whole game in Paris. Seems like a natural place to announce it. Hey,
yeah,
when
Adam Silver
Binyama's
does a
here.
press conference every year at the
Yeah, it
European
seems
game.
like
So
that. It just seems like natural. It just seems like Wembanyama, the guy who's going to be the next player for the next 10, 15 years, you announce it in Paris. By the way, we just happen to going to announce the NBA Europe. You announce the cities. It's got to be at least 10 to 12 cities they're going to announce, or 12 organizations, 12 teams. And then you go from there. I think it has a chance. You got to do something. That's one thing I will give the NBA now as compared to before. They're just trying things like this in-season tournament. Let's see what happens. The G League. Let's just see what happens.
yeah,
Let's,
shout out to Uncle Adam.
yeah. The academies. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's just see what happens. I think they have to do something, Mo, because what's the path now?
Mm,
Right? What's the path? And with that, Mo will be the voice.
hopefully.
Mo is the official, unofficial voice of NBA Europe. You heard it here first. You heard that here first.
Appreciate the love, B. Appreciate the love. And I appreciate you guys at home who
So
tune in
we
as
should be
well.
following this story nonstop from this point forward because you are the official voice.
What can I say? What can I
Okay.
say? What can I
NBA
say?
Europe
Fingers crossed.
starts with Mo. Starts with Mo. We're starting it. So every day, Mo, we need an update. You are the official voice of NBA Europe.
Okay. Okay. Appreciate that. We'll be back tomorrow with more, wrapping up the in-season tournament games from tonight and previewing tomorrow's fixtures. And I don't know how much to read into it, but there's apparently breaking news that the Miami Heat are open to listening to trade offers for Jimmy Butler, who's open to playing for the Dallas Mavericks, Houston Rockets, and Golden State Warriors. But we will talk about that
Mo,
tomorrow.
Mo, I'm
Mm,
going to give you your new assignment.
mm.
Can you trade from the NBA America to the NBA Europe?
Well, this is what I was talking about. Jokic going home to Serbia. Like, do you know what's really cool that we have in football?
What's that?
Players can go on loan.
Oh, yeah.
So if I have a load of players on my roster, they're not all getting minutes. I can loan them
Mm.
to a team for 6 months or for a whole season, and then they
Oh,
come back
wow.
to me. So they just go there to develop. It's kind of what you do in the NBA with the G League, but
Oh,
instead of being in the G League, you're at another team in the league.
you just loan them out.
You just loan them out, and I think that would be really cool in the
What's
NBA.
financially? Do you get
You split
compensation
it.
for that?
You split the salary. So it's like 70-30, 60-40, 50. You come to the agreement
Oh,
with the other team. So you just split the salary.
oh, really?
And
Interesting.
I think that would be interesting if, for example, we're talking about, you know, you you've got a team like OKC who have so many guys, and they
And then
want
they
to
just loan them out. They just loan
loan
them
him.
out
I'm
to
going to loan him out to Berlin for 6 months, and then they're going to come back in time for the playoffs. Go out there, get your reps.
interesting.
I think that'll be interesting. But stay tuned. More to come with that. And until next time, get buckets.